Hi, I'm Lindsay, host of the Live Like Eden podcast. What do you do when your whole life flips upside down? Are you questioning everything, lost in chaos, or yearning for life's deeper meaning? I've been there, deep in the thick of it, unraveling my own awakening mess for over 20 years. Now I'm here to help you through yours. I share no-nonsense weekly wake-ups, cutting through the ego's illusions to wake you up to your own spiritual wisdom. No mountaintop bliss needed here, just practical tools, insights, and real-life experience to save you time. Plus, a much-needed laugh when we're all losing it. Let's dive into this fresh new episode. Welcome back to another show, everybody. I hope you're doing well this holiday season. The clock is ticking. The big day is almost here for those of you that celebrate Christmas. Every year, I always feel like I'm on a time clock, and it just never ends. You know what's amazing? Somehow it all gets done. Even if you're up all night long, it will get completed. Continuing on from last week's episode about grief and losing our loved ones, I know many of you have lost your loved ones, and the holiday season can be a bit difficult. Today, I want to lift your spirits, and I share with you a chat that I recently had with Barbra Banner. Barbra is a no-nonsense psychic, evidential trance medium who has the ability to connect to the other side. Barbra has over 35 years volunteering for a women's crisis hotline, working for the Los Angeles crisis response team with the LAPD, and working in one of the busiest ER in the city. All of this experience prepared her for what she does now. If you're looking for insights about what happens when we die or what your loved ones are trying to communicate to you, you will definitely want to tune in and listen to this episode. I will link all of Barbra's information in the show notes for you, for those of you that might be interested in getting a reading and connecting with your loved ones. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I will be back with you next week. Welcome, Barbra. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm so happy you're here. I can't wait for this chat.
I am so happy I'm here as well. And I've waited a long time for the chat. So I'm jacked up and I'm ready.
Me too. All right. Well, Barbra, you're a medium, and it sounds like you weren't always a medium, which is fascinating. Sounds like it hit you pretty hard. And it seems like for decades you worked with women on a crisis hotline in the ER. A lot of trauma, it seems like.
A lot of trauma and grief. And yeah.
It seems like preparation maybe for where you are now.
Yes, especially with the last one, working at the city's crisis response team, where I go on the scene where there's a dead body and the police are there, and I work with the family. I listen to the family. So that was it. I said, okay, what am I doing here? Yeah. Needed to be there.
Before we get into what you do now and all the fun stuff we're going to talk about, I'd love to give you the space to share your own personal journey through this transformation, how you got to be a medium today.
I don't remember seeing any orbs when I was a baby, or having an invisible friend. I don't remember any of that, but I do remember feeling a little different. And I do remember, they're already giving me goosebumps. I do remember that when I was in junior high, I would say to my friends, because I was very intuitive, I think I'm a witch. Okay, I didn't even know what a medium was, so I had to use witch. And I don't think they understood me, and then I just had this fascination with mediums, Brown and all these older mediums, and I watched all the shows, and I just was really interested. So that was always something I was fascinated with. And it wasn't until I was really good at the Oscar parties, because I said she's going to win. Okay, and it was a betting game, so I did well. But it really didn't even dawn on me. I always picked interesting. I was volunteering for at least 35 years. I picked, the first was a women's crisis hotline. And, the training you get for months and months and months before they let you get on is life changing. I mean, it's like when you learn how to deal with people. So when I had a girlfriend who had a problem, she goes, "Stop using your mumbo jumbo on me." You put it into your life. So that was really interesting. And we dealt with every problem possible. And then I'm still working, volunteering in Cedar Sinai Hospital ER, and that's an adrenaline shot every once a week. So,
Oh, I
um,
bet. I can't even imagine.
well, I grew up in a hospital. My father owned medical laboratories in
Ah,
hospitals. He'd go to work with dad day, just go down the hallway of the hospital in a wheelchair, have some fun. Um, and then the last one that I did was just the crisis response team for the city. Somebody called me up and said, "I think you're going to like that," because I wasn't afraid of blood or anything. And that was really mind blowing. It was like a sacred honor. It was amazing. Now, I was not seeing spirits at that time. Okay, I didn't. That was nothing. And not until afterwards, in a reading, someone said, "You have been divinely guided to those three volunteer things. You could have been working in a food bank, in a shelter,
yeah.
and you picked these three things, I use all of it in my readings and in my experience because the training was amazing. Suicide, you study every kind of death because that's you handle it differently.
Yeah.
In suicides, all the family, the parents, they're all feeling guilty, so you have to address that. If someone was run over by a car, you got to address that. So
Yeah.
it's been so helpful, and thank you.
Sounds like the perfect divine education that
It
and you
was they
were you
and
volunteering? You said you
yes,
volunteered too, so you
yeah.
didn't pay to get your training. You just
No,
showed up and
yeah.
there it was. That's amazing.
Sometimes sometimes a medium session sort of turns into a therapy session,
Oh
and
yeah.
I help wherever I can. Some people say,
Yeah.
"Can you be my therapist?" I said, "I can't, but I'll give you."
Right.
So everything was for a purpose.
Wow.
And then all of a sudden, orbs were coming around, and I was going out for commercials, and I had to, it was all in the pandemic. I had to shoot my own videos, and all of a sudden I said, "Let me just look at this again." And there were orbs flying everywhere. I said, "Oh my God, what's going on?"
Yeah.
Then things were flying off the shelf. My mother-in-law's picture, especially, I think she was pissed at something. I don't know, but clocks were flying, and
Like while you're in your
li-
house,
while
you're
I'm in my house, this was the kicker. Where I said, "Okay, spirit wants me. I better answer." Um, a fan in my bedroom, the light was flashing, and it started turning on all by itself, like going like so fast, like a helicopter. I screamed to my husband in the other room, "Come here, John. You have to look at this. You won't believe it." He said, "No, you come in the den and look at that." Same thing was happening with the fan in the den.
oh wow.
They're saying, "Look, lady, you better do something about it. All right, I don't know what else we can do. Take the
Yeah.
roof off your head." Anyway, um, I
It-
found Suzanne Geisman. I was guided to her, and so it was.
so she's a famous medium, right? She does
Famous
classes.
medium,
Yeah.
yes,
Okay.
classes, yeah. And within 7 months, I was reading everybody on there, and I was told, "You better put out a shingle." So that's really fast.
Wow.
I mean, I went so quickly. And as I said, I was doing it long before.
Right. So, what is the training? I'm just curious. When people say they're going to go take classes to open up, obviously you're being guided there, so you know something's happening. And I'm assuming most people that go there already are sensing this. Or
A
are they
lot of people may not be sensing it. I would
really?
say, I don't have the exact percentage, but most people are there because they've lost somebody and
Oh,
they want
okay.
to learn how to connect,
Got
especially if
it.
it's a child. What do you learn? Well, you learn how. I didn't even know how to meditate. I never
Yeah.
had done that. I went like naked into that room. Um, you learn how to meditate and open up and just get in this zone where you can push everything out and just be still, and that's when you can sort of feel, and different techniques to listen to spirit and to get them in your aura there, and
Right.
and auric field. And and then it just gets more and more detailed of, just so many techniques. I mean, every teacher has their own way of teaching and learning. So you take a lot of teachers, which I have everybody. I went to AFC, Albert Finley in England for a couple of sessions. Just take what you can, what's meant for you. I found out very early that I had spirit guides that were very funny
Yeah.
and worked with me and gave me some great kind of things that I saw. So in fact, I'm going to throw this in because at one point they were making appointments for me that I didn't know. And people were calling me and saying, you have me down at 2 o'clock
What?
on Wednesday for a session. I didn't make that. I said, I don't even know how that happened. And then everybody was calling me and emailing me that they had a 2 o'clock session on Wednesday. And I thought, what is going on? And there was names of people in there that I didn't even
Wow.
know. I called my friend and I said, I have you, who is like Gloria Rodriguez? It's in the message window of a thing because she said, I don't have a session. I said, who is she? She said, it's my housekeeper. And I thought, how? I don't even know her name. How could I mail myself? And I said, okay, is there any reason Gloria might need a reading?
Mm.
She said, oh my God, her son died 2 days ago.
Oh no. Wow.
And then I found out that everybody that got one of these messages had a reason to have a reading. I said, listen, it's a glitch. I didn't do anything. I'm not out here trying to hook people in for free, for
Right.
readings.
Right.
And I just thought, oh my God,
Wow.
my team's making appointments for me. What's next?
Who needs an assistant, Barbara?
Jeez.
Wow, that's really interesting.
It was,
So,
I never heard that before.
no, and you're really being called. Like that's the true meaning of I am being pulled into this. Because my next question for you was, how did you build the trust with your spiritual team to trust that the information coming to you was accurate?
Well, I have to say, trust was the hardest thing to accept and to go by and surrender because I'm not, I mean, I couldn't even be hypnotized a long time ago. I'm a control freak, okay, in case you haven't figured it out. um it was so hard because they were giving me crazy things, and there were some things I was not comfortable saying
Yeah.
because it would have it was just too insane. And every time I held back and just said, give me something else. Okay, I can't say that. I found out that it was right.
Ah,
And it was a long kind of term thing. And now I know just they'll throw in things when I'm doing a trance reading. I do trance also at the end for a message because it takes all my energy away.
right. Yeah.
And then I'm giving this, what their mother's telling them. And then I all of a sudden, because I don't remember hardly anything when I'm out of it, and I love I'm still doing origami. Okay, now this is in a serious message, and I'm still doing origami. And I realized just they're talking, just let them say it. And then I
Yeah.
found out when it was over, I said, there was something about origami. I don't know. She said, the last day my daughter was alive, she made us some origami in the hospital.
Oh,
So
wow.
they test me. Okay, they test me.
And then you build the trust. So you're
Yeah,
building
so
that
I trust them
relationship.
now. I
Yeah.
trust them. They don't they want us to succeed, okay? This is great for them. It's not like, okay, we're going to trip her up. It's like you better learn your lessons so we can get on with this.
We got things to do.
We do. We got a lot of stuff planned for you.
Yeah.
Um,
You better get on board, right?
Now they're sending me on the podcast circuit, I'll tell you.
You got to get your voice out there now. Yeah.
Right.
Well,
Well,
that's exciting. So,
it is.
what was it like if you were not always like that? What did sudden knowing you're seeing these things fly around, you're getting all these messages, how did that affect your family? You said your husband was there, because not everybody's on board with this kind of thing. So, how was that?
I didn't even tell him that I was taking that class. I said, because the name of the class is Soul to Soul Communication. I'm an advertising person. I do copy and I do, for agencies.
Yeah.
That was my thing for 30 years. Okay. I said, it's a communication class. I think it'll be good for me. when I'm mad at you, I'll say it a different way. So he was fine with it. And finally, I had to just sit him down. I said, look, I got to tell you what I'm doing. He thought I was a little crazy and he
Mhm.
didn't really understand it. And I said, here's the deal. I can either keep it from you, but there is some really interesting, amazing things that are happening and that I would love to share with you. So you have a choice. If this is too woo-woo, I'm just going to keep it to myself. He says, no, I want you to share it with me.
Oh, wow.
My daughter didn't she says, okay, don't tell me anymore. She didn't really know, and now she's, using AI for tarot readings, okay, which is really amazing as well. And now my husband's with it, and he'll say, get the pendulum out and see if my dad wants me to do that. So he's in it. But the funniest thing was my mother. She was almost 104,
Oh,
and I
wow.
decided I have to tell her about this because Dad's coming through.
Yeah.
So I said, okay, Mom, I have to tell you something. I hope it doesn't put you over the edge. When I tell you
Yeah.
that I'm a medium now. She said, your grandmother was dragging me to fortune tellers and tarot readers and mediums and psychics when I was a kid. Come with me. Madame Verushka has an appointment with me. I said, you're almost 104. What the hell were you waiting for?
Right.
She didn't have a thing.
So
I
she
should have
never
known.
told you?
Never told me. But in
Wow.
that day, she said
Yeah.
grandma had people waiting outside, like the Godfather, to ask
Okay.
her things. So, no, it was not talked about then.
Yeah. Well, I can understand that for sure.
Yeah, so she didn't know what was she gonna say. We thought grandma was a little nuts, but we understood.
And the other thing is, it didn't seem like you were like that as a child. So it
I
wasn't like she
wasn't.
had to explain it or anything.
The only clue she gave me was when I was like on my 16th birthday. She comes home with a present. It's a Ouija board. And I said, what's this? I said, I don't need a Ouija board. I need some white go-go boots,
Yeah,
okay?
yeah.
So take it back. I didn't understand it.
Oh, interesting. She was like subtly telling you, like a
Yes,
sign.
yes,
Uh-huh.
she was subtly seeing if I had it. Um,
Interesting. I
Interesting.
remember Ouija boards. I mean, you just brought back some memories from when I was a kid in little circles and we're all asking
Right.
questions and
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
I
it's
should have
super
kept
fun.
it, but it wasn't. They say when your soul is ready, that's when you will find your purpose. And they
Yeah.
also say if you find your purpose in life, you stop aging and you don't get really sick. So
Huh.
I'm 104 as well.
I was going to say you look amazing.
Yeah, baby.
You do
Yeah.
look amazing. You're glowing. So I'm curious how you receive information. I know that, well, first, before we do that, can you please define for the audience the difference between, psychics, mediums, and channels? Because you mentioned that you
Okay.
do
I do trance channel. Yeah.
yeah. So tell me
Okay.
the difference between them.
It's the way you get information. As a psychic, they always say, don't do psychic in your reading. But when spirit gives like a name or refers to somebody alive, the client says, I really want to know what's happening with my daughter. Um, I go into a psychic thing. I said, she's my God, she's biting her nails off. She has a lot of anxiety and she's just fearful of whatever it is. That's psychic for me. I just think about it and it comes in. For mediumship, the spirit guides they're like feeding me things, okay? But I'm awake and aware, and I also used to do automatic writing, but now it's
Okay.
much better with the trance. Um, so I'm just repeating what I see, what I hear, what I feel, even if it's crazy. And then trance channeling, it's sort of the same. If
Yeah.
you want to have a medium on your show, I'll give you Nico the medium. Um,
Okay.
he can do a thing. Um, I get into a theta state, like right, how you feel right when you're falling asleep, you are just in this dreamy zone and
Yes.
you're not thinking of anything, but it's like that. You just get really deep and I try to keep my head out of it because if my head gets in, then it's not going to be accurate. So I just stay away and I just repeat what they give me and I don't remember hardly anything. There might be a word or a phrase or something, but I just go and at the end I just say I hope that resonated. And she said, most people say 100%. It's exactly what I needed to hear.
Wow.
And I probably couldn't do that as just, well, I could, but this is a better way to do it. And it's
So
pretty fun.
explain to me when you're in trance, okay? So when you're in trance and you're pulling in and allowing something else to speak through you, what is it like for your body? Are you feeling the body? Are you disconnected from it? Like, do you feel anything happening other than just being in a meditative state? Like, explain that. What is it like for you?
It is just like a meditative state. And I can hear some of the things they say. I won't remember them, but I'm not in the kind of deep trance where all of a sudden I'm going to be channeling Winston Churchill,
Yeah.
okay, in his voice, okay?
Right.
All right, I'm not that deep, okay?
Yeah. You're still aware.
I still have a small amount of awareness, but I don't remember it.
Okay.
And I don't feel anything. I'm just woozy, and I'm just opening my mouth, and they're saying things that they know the client needs to hear. Spirit gives you what you need to know, not always what you want to know.
Right.
So don't try to test the medium with crazy stuff. Yes.
When you say that you hear messages or see them, are you getting an image in your imagination? Are you physically seeing? Are you hearing an actual voice? Explain that.
People say when they think they heard their loved ones, or they thought they saw some, they say, and then they say, nope, couldn't be. It was just my imagination.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's how we communicate in our
Right.
imagination. Whatever we see in our head, we just talk about it.
Yeah.
So I see it in my head now. Some of it is very subtle. I can tell if someone's got a bulbous nose at the end, or a snaggle tooth or something. I can
Yeah.
usually get in that kind of detail. But that's really what I'm seeing, and they're doing something. And I always tell them I can like channel what they're saying and doing.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes I'll just say, all right, what am I doing? What am I doing? Is he a rolling pin or something? I don't know. And they'd say, yes, he used to teach me how to bake. He loved to bake.
Oh, okay.
And sometimes, somebody was doing this,
Uh-huh.
and I said, okay. It looks to me like she's churning butter, because the woman wanted to know, well, these two women were very, very different. Very similar, but there was one thing one did the other. I said, churning butter. And the client looked at me like, okay, I can't even respond to that. That's so ridiculous. I said, look,
Wow.
I know they were plunging a toilet. Okay, that I can tell you. And then she goes, no, my aunt did churn butter. I was just joking with you.
That's amazing. So they
You
use
got to be
your
Sherlock
body.
Holmes. They use my body.
Yeah. And you just kind of go with it.
I go with it. I
That's
tell
so cool.
people, I said, look, if I bust into the twerk or something, don't call 911. It has nothing to do with a medical emergency.
It's a
I had people
message.
do a hula, and I'm saying, what does it hula mean anything to you? I don't know why I'm doing it. She said, my grandmother was the national hula hoop champion,
Oh,
which
wow.
she was 17. So things that I get, and you never know what's going to hit them. It could be the most mundane thing,
Yeah.
She's chewing gum, big deal. And that could be, she was the national gum chewing champion. I mean, there was always something that absolutely, killed them
Well, and then
that
it
was so
connects them.
meaningful.
Then they know, then they trust the message. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's amazing. Well, let's take that now into what you actually do now when you work with clients. And I'm sure you have all kinds of different scenarios people have, right, when they lose their loved ones. How do you walk people through, and how do you take the heaviness that they feel and maybe the uncertainty of them in the afterlife, right? And how do you bridge that to lighten it up and make them feel at peace?
Well, as I start, like I said, don't call 911. I start with a little thing, and if they don't crack a little smile,
Yeah.
I have to read the room. My
Right.
daughter always says, "Mom, read the
I
room.
know.
That's not funny." Okay,
Right.
so I do have to, and I give them that, and if they, then I'll go. I have a few other little things to just lighten it. I want to raise their vibration. Spirit wants them to be up and happy, and
Yeah.
saying, "Yes, I understand that." I mean, it makes such a much better reading.
Yeah.
I want to say to somebody who's just sort of sitting there, like, it doesn't matter to me if you believe it, but it will affect your reading with
Right.
spirit.
Mm-hmm.
And one woman, she came in and I had her before, and she looked so like she just rolled out of bed and didn't even know. I said, "Look, you get up and do 10 jumping jacks, or I'm canceling the meeting." And
Yeah.
she did. And she said, "I needed that." So I had to jack her up,
Right. Read the room. You jacked her
read the
up.
room, get her up.
Get the energy moving. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but you can't really do that with a new client. You can't really say, get up, lady. Okay.
Yeah.
Um,
So, how are people transformed in your reading? Like when you see them come in with this energy, and then what do you notice when they leave?
I always try to, pun intended, lift everybody's spirit. I want to get the people they want. I want them. I ask them, they could come in like that and they could be smiling at the end and, just clutching their pearls or wiping a tear away. I always say, make sure you have tissue here. And I can see the difference. I said, you look like you are so much lighter now.
Yeah.
Okay. That's my aim because, first of all, laughter raises the vibration, like, and
A lot.
joy and gratitude. I try to, you can't change the situation. If their child passed, I can't bring them back, but I can bring them closer.
Yeah.
First, it's like, it's not, if, believe it and see it. Okay. No, see it and believe it. That's what we learn. On the other side, it's believe it and see it. You have to believe it first, or all these signs are just going to go right by you. Okay.
Yeah.
And you're going to tell me, I'm not getting any signs. Okay. And I'm going to say, yes, you are. I just told a woman, you're getting butterflies like flying around you, and you got one that's like hovering and circling and dive bomb, and there's others. She said, for the last 4 days, I've had like a gang of butterflies
Oh, wow.
following me around everywhere I go. My husband said, do you not notice that there's butterflies all, you go this way, they go this way? I said, what did you not even think it could be your mother who loved butterflies? She goes, I thought it might be migration season, butterfly migration season. She talked herself out of it with some cockamamie.
Yeah.
It's butterfly migration. That's what people do.
Right.
No, I didn't see that shadow. I saw a shadow, but it must have just been, my
Yeah.
imagination. So I try to get people to open it up and think, I mean, everyone knows what the normal signs are, some coins and insects and uh, that kind of stuff.
Music, maybe like a song or
Music.
something.
I
Yeah.
tell them, if you hear a song that your mother loved, when you get home, you go Google the lyrics. There is a message for you in that song. And if you wake up at, even if it's like 6:04, you 2 in the morning, you just put in 6:04 and put in 6:04 angel number. You have a message that they're giving you that you need to know then.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's
There's
so cool.
so much stuff. Um, I give everybody a resource page where there's some, they can listen to some meditations to meet their loved one, and how to learn the gematria. There's a lot of stuff on there, and a lot of different exercises.
Yeah.
And I do give exercises to everybody, one exercise before I get off a reading. You want to know what it is?
What is it? Of course.
Okay.
Now that you
I
say
t-
that.
I tell them, when I count three, I want you to tell me the first thing that's in your head. The first thing. So I go 1, 2, 3, and okay. Woman said, a wrench. My husband loved to fix cars. I said, okay. Within the next several days, you are going to come across a wrench in a place that you least expect it. Okay. It's not like you're going to walk into the garage and say, oh, I found my wrench. No, this is where you are not expecting it. So, okay, where did my pictures go? I took some pictures because you can't even explain this without even showing. So I get an email from her like 2 days later because she wanted me to see what her husband looked like. Okay. And that's fair. And she said, look in the G, because I cut off his head so it would be
Oh,
there was a Google
yeah,
there's a Google band across it. Okay,
yeah.
she said, look it, make it bigger. Hold on, there is a
Oh,
wrench
in the
in,
G.
come on, in the G, come
In
on,
the G, I saw it. Yeah.
in the G. Okay, all right,
Wow.
all
So
right, you
that
saw
was
it for
the
a
wrench.
second. You can't make this stuff up. And when even the biggest skeptics say, it made me, I believe it now. It
Yeah.
really gives them a reason to believe, and things just open up for them in their awareness. And gee, that penny over there, it's probably for me. Dad loved to collect pennies. So it just changes things. That's why I love when Spirit gives me some wonderful evidence and feelings. I get a lot of feelings
Yeah.
that people, it's not just evidence. I said, your husband felt like this, and this.
Yeah.
And she'll say, I thought so, but I didn't know that it was
Oh,
that bad.
oh,
So it's not just things that it's things that you need to know.
yeah.
I get a lot of people who want to know how somebody died. And I literally, the white line on the floor of the position of the
Right.
body,
Yeah.
I could do that. For some reason, they want me to see that he was in the bed and his arm was up. I don't know why, but they always say, yes, that's exactly the position he was in.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, that's interesting. What about suicide? Because this is such a big, heavy topic. Many people have dealt with friends, loved ones that suddenly, and typically a lot of people have no idea this has, been something somebody's been planning or wanting to do. How do you console those families? Because I know there's a huge amount of guilt involved.
that's the
Yeah,
biggest
they
thing.
wanted to be there I could have done something to help them.
You're
But
saying you're preaching to the choir. That is
yeah,
what they all say.
let's talk about what is the other side's view on this, because I know in our dimensional realm, there's a lot of, well, if you do that, you're going to be going to hell, or you're going to be, your soul
Well,
is
that's
damned.
that's that's
Yeah,
religion. Okay,
that's a
that's not.
religion. Yeah, so that's what I want to ask you. What is the difference between the actual experience on the other side for that than what we think or people in
Okay.
religion think of that?
I was taught, and people have different opinions, that when you do your soul contract, suicide is not one of the ways you want to die. That's what I heard. Okay, I could be wrong. I've been
Yeah,
doing this only 5 years. Okay, I'm
yeah,
no. But if you do, it's because you wanted to. If you do end up taking your life, it's because you took on so many problems. You just wanted to do a fast track
mm-hmm,
and get a lot of karma out and in
yeah,
one lifetime, and but you didn't realize how much it was to handle,
yeah,
and you couldn't really handle it, and it's sort of like you just took an exit. But I also hear that you do not, first of all, there's no hell as far as I'm concerned, that they are very loving and warm when you arrive,
sure,
and you get nothing but love and compassion, and they take you through therapy kind of thing, that before you get back in the gen pop, they're going to they're going to work with you to understand. And I believe you do have to come back and handle it a little better, a little different way. Again,
yeah,
you have, yeah, because the lesson wasn't learned. Well, the lesson hopefully is, don't take on climbing Mount Everest. Okay,
right.
take on what you can do, and listen to the council when they say that's a pretty hefty plate of stuff that you're going to deal with. um
Right. Yeah.
so yeah.
So that leads me to another question, Barbara. On the other side, what is the information you receive from your spirit guides, or however you receive information? Do you have a choice to come back here? And then can you continue your so-called learning, or I like to call it unlearning, on the other side in other multidimensional realms? Does it have to be the earth plane? Like, what do you know? What's your take on that?
Well, we can have five different lives going on at different times at the same time. So they're supposed to
Yeah.
be like, you get five lives going on at once. So if you have a really easy life this time, don't expect it next time. You're probably in another cycle in the 1800s, and you just
Yeah.
got bayoneted. Okay, so there's a reason for everything, and we have to experience everything. Dolores Cannon said,
Hmm.
you have to be every race. You have to live in almost every country. You have to experience everything. You can't just say, okay, land me in Beverly Hills and let's do it from there. You're going to be a ditch digger. Okay.
Yeah.
You're going to be everything. So you just hope that you get through and at one point don't have to come back, but, and just can learn and hang around and just manifest, a nice warm Caribbean island. Um,
That was what I was going to ask you, because
with your boy toy. Okay.
there you go, the highlight. Yeah. That's one thing. That was one thing I was going to ask you is there such a thing as the higher realms that takes you beyond even the,
Oh yes, there's
yeah,
there's like supposed to be Edgar
yeah,
Casey,
yeah, that's what I'm
who
talking about.
I
Yeah.
have a good saying from him. You didn't lose me. I just went a little ahead of you. And I love that
Yeah.
because we have to learn how to pivot the way we think. Okay? He's not lost. He has his all his marbles. He's perfect and he's going to be there, when you get there.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
we have to change the way we perceive things, and it'll make our life so much better and lighter. And what was the question? I got off on a.
I was talking about like getting into the higher realms. If there's
Oh
ever like,
yeah,
if
there's
you're,
seven. There's
yeah,
seven.
like if we're talking about learning and unlearning this whole thing, there must be a place of peace at some point that is beyond what we perceive here.
I think it's all peaceful.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, once we get there, the first thing we learn is about love and gratitude and peace. Okay.
Hmm.
The first stop at the train station is what and being of service to others. I think that's the main thing that we learn. And we have no judgment. If you hated your wife while you were down here, you don't have to be with her, even if she wants to be with you. And nobody's jealous. Okay. So if you went on to a second or third husband, like me,
Yeah.
you can be with whoever you want or share them. It could be there's just no judgment and there's no jealousy because we've already learned that everything that happened for a reason and it was all a learning experience and we all picked it.
Yeah.
So
Right.
her husband picked to die, when he was 45. And it's all just according to plan. So when somebody like loses somebody, I said, you know what? Believe it or not, you knew this was going to happen. You agreed to it because of not for the grief, but because there was going to be at some point a learning experience that you need to expand your soul so you can keep moving up.
Yeah.
And they could hardly believe that. And I said, and you're not going to know because when we come down, amnesiaville,
Oh, I know. What?
okay, um, but when you cross over, it's going to be, oh my gosh, I can't believe
Yeah.
that's what that was for. And I never would knew I would have picked that, but boy, am I glad I did.
There's a couple things you just said there that just triggered me to think a couple. You said something I was going to ask you, which was about, yeah, what about these people who had a,
Oh, boy, that's psychic. If you want
yeah.
to know what psychic is.
Oh, got it. What about these people, like you just said, who you have multiple husbands or wives, or you had, one of them died, and then you move on, and what happens in the afterlife? But there's a movie coming out. I don't know if you've seen the preview for this, and I think it's called. Oh no, I just totally forgot the name of it. I just was at the. Let me look this up real quick.
Is it on
Eternity.
Netflix?
No, it's. I think it's going to be at the theater. It's called Eternity. And the movie is about this guy who, dies and sees his wife, and then she's seeing her first love
Oh,
in the afterlife. And I always wonder this, right? Because I'm going, okay, what if you have like multiple loves and you're on the other side? Like, are we still playing this out on the other side? Like, what's the story? And you just
you
kind of
know
answered
what?
it.
It's just like all we feel is love. We
Yeah.
don't take our vengeance and our hate with us. We all understand. She acted like a bitch because that's what she picked, And I agreed to have a fishmonger wife,
Yeah.
okay? And it's why be angry at her?
Yeah.
Why?
Right.
We
Exactly.
I picked it as well. I needed to learn how to navigate somebody who was not kind to me.
Yeah. Well, many people do not see life in that way, though. They don't see the soul content. They don't see that
They don't.
they're a participant in their own story. They don't even know that. So it's a
Well, I
blame
bring
game.
that out. Yeah,
Yeah.
I bring that up, especially if they saying, "How could God do this to me?" And I say, the universe is not doing anything to you.
Yeah.
It's doing things for you. It's a learning experience. And as hard as it is to understand, you picked it because it's something you need to know for your soul to expand and to move up.
And how do they respond to you when you say that?
It helps.
Hmm.
It helps because in their mind, they can't get their arms around why did this happen?
Yeah.
Why did this happen to this wonderful young 30-year-old woman? It's one way that they can put an answer to it, whether they can keep it and really agree with it, but it's something, it's an answer. And
Hmm.
hopefully people get very spiritual after somebody passed that they want to connect with. So they're reading a lot of stuff, watching a lot of podcasts,
Yeah.
gleaning what they can, and they hear it enough, it's going to make sense to them. Okay, I'm just going to have to be patient. I'm only 50 now. I got another 50 years, and then I'll find out. Okay,
Yeah.
but I'm going to be patient.
Well, that's why people that lose, have a loss in their life, a sudden loss especially, can trigger a massive transformation and awakening for people. One of the biggest. So,
Well, Edgar Casey says 2025 is like the big awakening that
ah,
people.
here we go.
Here we
Buckle
go.
up.
So buckle up.
You also mentioned another thing when you said amnesia. And this is something it's always interesting to think about is if it's true, let's just ponder that we've had thousands of lifetimes, right? We've done this, song and dance many times. Why do we forget all of it?
I'll tell you why.
Because it's so
And
dramatic.
Dolores Cannon answered that. She's also a really good person to
She
listen
was
to.
cool.
Oh, love her.
What a neat
Um,
lady.
if we know everything, like our last life, or we know what the council and our guides picked for us going forward, it's not a test. If you know the answer and you know the question, it's not a test. We are being tested how we can learn this new um, concept and how to navigate through life and find your purpose and be of service. It's a
Yeah.
test.
Well,
How you
the other thing that comes to my mind is you won't do it. If if you know,
that's a good one too. She didn't mention that, but
yep.
I can see that. But
Yeah.
actually, I heard from another podcast um, that we have a chance to do a demo run, like a simulation
Hmm.
of what is going to happen to us so that we can choose to let it happen or not. So I would say if some guy says, I want to die of cancer in this life, and you'd say, well, why would you want to do that? He says, well, a lot of lives I was in a train wreck, and then I was, in a boat that sank. I gotta freshen it up a little because you know that it's not really going to hurt you,
Yeah.
and
Right.
that it's just adding a little, zhuzh to your next experience. So
Exactly.
so yeah, so
It's an
we
interesting
have a
thing.
chance. We have a chance to
Yeah.
be murdered or whatever. Done everything else. It sounds like a good trip.
Right. That leads you just the word murder. It leads me to the question. A lot of people want to, say that murderers and people that do horrible acts, therefore are in punishment or eternal damnation. I know you touched on hell that you said you didn't believe in that. But how much of what we believe here, like let's say someone's really incredibly religious or incredibly spiritual and they have very solid beliefs in that, how much of that is actually manifested on the other side, or is it just a wash?
Well, I believe that when you transition, you understand that some of the things you were taught aren't really true,
Hmm.
and that all the people that you've like Jesus or Buddha or Gandhi or um, any of these wonderful people are masters, and but there's only one God. So
Yeah.
all of everybody who's got their own ideas, they're going to understand there's only one truth,
Yeah.
and that they may have spent a lot of time listening to somebody who's never been dead before.
Right. No, I like that answer because it's not set in stone. Anything that's, you're basically talking about having to undo a belief system.
Right, and
Mhm.
it's in a man. It's not in a god.
Yeah.
It's in a man who thinks there's 72 virgins waiting for you if you blow up the
Right.
mosque, the synagogue or something.
Yeah.
So
Which
you're
sounds
dealing
like
with a man.
this sounds completely insane, on some level. But, can we shift into a paranormal question here? Some paranormal
Okay,
stuff. Do you?
I'm not a paranormal expert, but go ahead. Maybe
Well,
I'll
no,
learn
and it's
something.
not super crazy. I just
Okay,
have
sure.
questions about spirit that get stuck. I know there's shamans who work with, people who literally die and get stuck. They don't realize they're dead. Is that, and so they're lurking around the house or the same place that they were
That can
in.
that can happen. Some people say you can't get stuck, but I heard that a lot of times right after somebody passes, let's say a husband passes, they don't want to leave yet. All they care about when they pass is that their wife is going to be okay.
Yeah,
Okay, that's all they want for their loved ones left behind.
right.
And they don't miss us as much because they're around us all the time. They're
Yeah,
there, they're having breakfast with us just like they did for the last 50 years. So it's us who are suffering, and they want to make sure we're going to be okay. There's a lot of dreams that they can manifest in right afterwards to try to comfort. Um, and they may not want to leave for could be months or something,
yeah,
to make sure that everyone's going to be okay and send signs. Of course, the loved one left behind is
yeah,
most likely going to say sorry.
right.
I don't believe that. So, and as for stuck, I hear there are some, and then other people say nobody's really stuck. But as I said, I'm not an expert,
Yeah.
but there's some places that are haunted. Okay,
Well, that's what I was going to ask
there's
you.
enough people who haven't left
Yeah.
for whatever reason.
And they have some really weird things happening in these like houses where it's like it
Yeah,
feels real evil. And I'm under the like for me personally, Barbara, I'm not really into the evil side of anything. I feel like
right.
people are
I
just
don't believe
confused.
right. I don't believe there's
An evil
an
force.
evil force.
Yeah, I don't either. That's a
But
thing though. A lot of people do. They think that there's some outside external evil out there that is doing things
well,
to us.
actually, I do believe there are evil forces, but I don't believe that they're on the good side. But do I think there's a Satan force who's
Right,
just
that's what I
evil? And they could be from another planet. They could just be somebody who could, you know, do a spell, and all of a sudden, we're out of water on Earth or something.
Yeah.
For their own purpose, and
Yeah.
then they're going to
Well, right.
turn it back on when we are extinct. Um, so yeah, I can't. It's not my ballywick. Don't listen to me. I've gotten different answers from different
Yeah.
people. So.
What do you say to people who really want to communicate with their loved ones who've passed? They want to create their own connections with them. But they don't know how to do it. And maybe they've tried a lot of things and they just feel like you mentioned it a little bit earlier in the show, but what are some techniques or things you would tell those people how they can connect?
Well, everybody has the ability. Um, I always say the first steps are meditating every day. You have to clear your mind. You've got so much going on, first of all, when you're in deep grief, it's really hard to
Hmm.
start learning how to do it and connecting, because it's like spirit's got to get through cement. It's
Yeah.
really difficult. But I feel like, first of all, meditating every night. And I say do it at night because during the day you're thinking about, oh, I got to pick up the bagels at the bakery and do this or that. But at night you're already half out of it. You're already prepared to go to sleep. And listen to guided meditations. Dr. Joe Dispenza, and there's just so many around. They're all free on YouTube, and just pick around until you find something that you can feel a little tingle, that you feel like your energy is a little different. You got to be open for that. So give yourself some time to adjust and to grieve, and try to think. You try to pivot. That's what I always tell people, that instead of looking at a picture of like you and your son who passed, who and crying because you miss them so much. It is like nothing that you can imagine. Instead of crying, I always say one day you're going to look at that picture and you're going to pivot. And instead of thinking about how sad it is you don't have them, you are going to change and feel how grateful you are that you had all of that love with him, and that goofy face was the one that always got you. You could never be mad at him, and laugh and just feel the joy.
Right.
It's like, I don't know, it's like, when you pull the slide, you slide over something on a range, like from 0 to 50, you slide it over. You just like, it's a slow slide, but there's going to be something happen. And read everything you can. Watch the podcasts that interest you. It can be like a rabbit hole. But whatever, we have so many questions.
Yeah.
By the way, Dr. Mark Pitzik is a founder of all of this in our lifetimes. He has a website called Soul Proof, and he has decades of articles that have been written.
Soul Proof. It's called Soul
Soulproof. You can listen to the greats on. He has radio interviews that are on there, and documentaries, and everything you could think of about what it is like on the other side, and all of these questions you have. You can just go put in the question, and it's never ending things that you can find out on that, and it's free. I'll just sign up for the newsletter because it always has something great in it. It's like the archive, for everything in one place.
That's so cool. So anybody listening,
yes. Anybody, and he also has like a class, the greater living class where you can practice with other people. There's so much there. Go for it. Just find what you want and try everything. And the more you know, the more you're open.
Yeah.
You won't be saying, it must be butterfly migration period. Okay. You'll say, my husband is following me around like he used to do, when I was in a store, and he'd say, are you done yet? Let's go. Just leave me alone.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that's so true. You mentioned gematria earlier, and the numbers.
Do you know what that is?
Well, I've looked into it, but can you explain to the audience? Because I don't speak about it much, but I do know what it is.
It can be amazing. Okay. And there's also a 2-hour tutorial from the gematria maven, Cheryl Page, who's also into very much like AI and all of this, like the modern mystic. And it's where you put in a phrase or a name, and it translates it into a numerical value.
Mm-hmm.
And then you click something and it gives you a list of like all these things, like hundreds of things that also have the same numerical value. Okay. And you can get messages from there. I mean, it's crazy. I did a little thing for helping parents heal. I'm certified with them. And I brought in a trance guy who did a beautiful meditation. And at the end, because it was meant for you at the very end to see the face of your loved one. So one woman said, I saw him and he gave me a pinky swear. He said, pinky swear, pinky swear. And she said, I heard it like it was here. So somebody in the class put pinky swear in the gematria.
Oh,
The first thing on the list was the name Cody. That was the name of her son,
wow.
the woman's son who got pinky swear.
That's so amazing.
It's amazing. I have a woman, one of the ones who absolutely was a non-believer. Showed her how to use it, and she said, I the number I got was my husband's social security number.
Wow.
I know it's him giving
Yeah.
me this. Okay?
Yeah. What are the chances of that?
What are the chances?
Yeah.
So,
Is that because the, numbers are really the intelligence of the universe, the mathematics behind everything?
absolutely.
Yeah.
It's spirit knows that to get the number, the Cody's what her son's name is, the numerical value, that he should say pinky swear. Now sometimes you have to put the pinky swear. You have to play with it a little, but within the first 50, there should be a message for you. Could be your name or
Yeah.
somebody whose husband committed suicide, and um, she didn't want to tell anybody.
Yeah.
She did like suicide or something, whatever she put in that she felt her husband gave her that, and
Wow.
it came up. Suicide isn't murder.
Yeah.
Okay,
She
that's what
needed
she
that.
needed to
Yep.
hear. She
Right.
needed to hear that you don't have to be humiliated. It's not murder. He didn't kill anybody.
Yeah.
He just couldn't go on.
I know. I love how you just said that. He just couldn't go on.
Just couldn't go
And you
on.
can understand that. Like, I completely get that in this world where this is not easy all the time. A lot of people get really heavy stuff, and it's like, I totally get that. It's like, I can't
Yeah.
continue this time around. It's just,
Listen, I think almost everybody who loses a child
hmm
at some point wants to commit suicide, just wants to be with them.
yeah.
And and
Yeah. It's so
it's
hard.
it's so normal. It's just so normal to
Yeah.
feel that way.
Oh,
And I just say he doesn't want you to do that.
right.
That's not what he wants. You to have the best life possible. You know how some people say, I'd give my left arm, to have him back. And I
Yeah.
say, they don't want your appendages. They want you to have the best life possible.
Yeah.
That's what they want for you,
Yeah. They want you to live on.
to have a life of service and to have the best life possible because you're going to see them again,
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah. And they know that. And then isn't there also something too that wouldn't they want you to fulfill your own contract, your own whatever you're working out here?
Well,
What are you
yeah,
learning? Yeah. Yeah.
it's yeah. Well,
That's
I
so
always
interesting.
bring this. You asked. This is for you to work through, and I don't believe that taking your own life is what your son wants at all. Um,
Right.
you'll just leave more damage on this side with your husband, and you know what I mean.
Oh,
So
yeah.
it
Yeah.
would be too much for them to handle.
Both people gone. Yeah. That's a
Yeah,
whole nother
yeah.
level. Yep. That's so nice. You have been called to such an amazing position to help facilitate transformation and lightness and really understanding the dying process, that it's okay. And we all lose our loved ones. We're all going to lose somebody, right? And so great that you're offering this, Barbara. I mean,
And they're never alone. They never die alone. They never pass alone. There's always people there for them.
the team.
Um,
Yeah,
the
your team.
team
Yeah.
and a loved one who's been visiting him.
Yeah.
Like people say, well, who was with him? I said, I don't know, but she's like really old and she's got like arthritic hands with big knuckles. And she's like, she was pretty bossy. Oh, she goes, that's my mother-in-law. So they always know who it is.
My
Who's just
mother-in-law.
down there to
Well, before we sign off today, I would love to just see if there's any last message you could leave the listeners that we're coming up on the holiday season here.
Yes, this
Yes.
is what I want to do. I
Yeah.
want everyone. I'm going to do the little experiment with everybody.
Okay.
So when I count three, I want you to think about the first thing that comes in your mind. One, two, three. What is it? A thing, a plate, anything. What is it? Okay, everybody, write it down. What was yours?
Chocolate.
Chocolate. Okay. So
Only
you're
because
going
I
to,
have a piece right in front of me.
okay, well, you know what? Somebody on the other side knew that you're having a piece of chocolate, and that's what's going to happen. So within the next week, whatever you picked, and it has to be the first thing, because our critical mind within 3 seconds will say, I can do better than that, and you'll put something else in. It's not going to work. Okay, you can wait from now until doomsday, and whatever you put in is not going to come to you in an unusual way. Okay, I do have to show you things. One of the, what did I show you? Did I show you the G?
Yeah, you showed us the G.
Okay,
the
all
wrench.
right.
Mm-hmm.
The wrench. I'm just going to show you one more. One of the hosts said, when you told me that on the podcast, I played along too. I had no idea. Okay. Yeah. So she said, and I got an elephant. And I thought, where am I going to see an elephant? She took her son mini golfing.
Oh, look at that.
To a new place. That huge elephant. You can't make this stuff up. They show you things that are crazy. Somebody who was getting hearts.
Oh, on the top of is that a coffee?
That's a spoon from the cereal, and the bran flake is in a heart.
Just the most subtlest of things, that appear
absolutely.
Not where you think they're going to appear. Yeah,
absolutely.
So, Barbara, are you telling me that I'm not going to see the chocolate in my purse? It's going to be coming out.
No, it's going to be. You could be walking down the street, and somebody's going to say, drop some chocolate right in front of you out of their purse or something, and you are not going to understand it. And I would say, everybody email me and tell me that you found it. But I'm going to tell you, I want you to get in touch with me when you understand. It could be a license plate in front of you that says chocolate.
Yeah.
Okay? Or you could just drive by a street that you've never been on before and it says chocolate factory. Okay? Yeah. It's not what you expect. And that's cool. What makes people believe it.
Yeah. That's so great. Well, that's a wonderful thing for everybody to think about. And,
by the way, when it does come true, do it every week. You want to feel closer to your loved one? Play the game. They want to be in your life. You have to ask them. So ask them for something, and do it every week.
Yeah.
You will I have a better relationship with my mother now that she's on the other side. So have some fun. Okay. They're there. They want to be part of your life. They want you to come to them for guidance. And
it's like building a relationship that keep the relationship going that you have.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right. And bring your family in. If you've got like a teen daughter, say, okay, it's your time to ask dad.
Yeah. That makes it so wonderful. And then you're still celebrating the life that you had with them while you're here.
Absolutely. They are there. They know exactly what you're doing. Okay.
Yeah. Wow. That's such a lovely place to kind of end for the day, I think, Barbara. And before we leave, would you please tell everybody where we can find you? Anybody listening that wants a reading, maybe you want a little bit more info, where can we get your information?
My website, bannermedium.com. It couldn't be easier. I'm Banner, I'm a medium.com, and you got it. And you can also click on my TikTok and Facebook, and I post little 20-second vignettes of crazy things that happen in my readings that are funny or heartwarming, and then you can book on the site as well.
Well, that's so awesome. Thank you so much, Barbara, and thank you for being here and sharing your time with me. I've really enjoyed our time together.
I really enjoyed our time together either, and I want to hear from you. Okay. Okay.
I'm going to tell you and fill you in on the chocolate.
I definitely want to know where that chocolate's coming from, but it's not going to be in your purse or in your cabinet. It is going to be somewhere where you do not expect chocolate. Okay.
Well, I'm awaiting my spiritual team to do something very hilarious because they are fairly funny.
Okay. Well, then you will find it. Okay.
All right.
You could be walking down the street and there's chocolate all over a little kid's face. It's something you don't expect that has to do with chocolate.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Barbara. You have a lovely day.
Thank you so much.
And I'd love to have you back anytime.
Anytime. Thank you.
That's it for today's show. Thanks so much for listening. If it resonated, please share, follow, and drop a review with your takeaways. It really means a lot. Visit my website at livelikeeden.com to subscribe for weekly reminders and blogs, Or sign up for a free 30-minute consult to explore one-on-one guidance sessions if you're really struggling in Awakening's darkness. Take my Awakening quiz to get a personal podcast playlist that meets you exactly where you're at. See you next week for another deep dive.